Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update. Time to check in with Bulldog Hockey. We're joined by head coach Bob Daniels. Coach, first of all, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thanks, Rob.
This past week, special Thursday-Friday series against the University of Michigan, and I know the results maybe not what you wanted the first night, but certainly got an exciting win in the finale at Yost Ice Arena.
Yeah, Friday night, that's to say the least, that wasn't the result we were hoping for. Although the game or the score was not indicative of the game. We were, I thought through, I don't know, the first 50 minutes of the game, it was pretty darn even. If anything, second period, we had quite an edge in opportunities. We were fine up through the middle of the third when they scored the fourth goal, and from that point, those last 10 minutes were long, Rob.
As we go to some of the highlights of that first game on Thursday night, talk about for your kids what it's like playing in front of the Michigan fans there at Yost Ice Arena.
Yeah, it's good. You know, it's one of the better places to play in college hockey in terms of having some, real life to the arena. I still, and I know most people would agree, back in the CCHA days, the two best rinks to play in were Yost and Avoglaven, our rink. Just because the fans are so into it, they're on top of you. And certainly it was like that this weekend as well. Here you see us get the equalizer at 1, and then they're going to go up 3-1 at the end of 1. But I thought, Darren Smith has played outstanding for us this year, but I did think this is one of the tougher nights for him. He wasn't quite on top of his game, but even though we're down 3-1, we'll eventually get it to where it's 3-2. And really, I thought controlled the play, like I said, right up until the last 10. When we were real disappointed, though, in when we gave up the fourth goal in the third period. I was really disappointed with our response as a team.
Certainly seemed like both nights, with the exception maybe that final stretch in Game 1, that your team battled back. They always had an answer for a Michigan goal.
Yeah, I mean, we did. And territorially, we were fine. Here's a goal. It really was a defensive zone coverage breakdown. Again, one I would think Darren would probably want back, but it was a defensive zone coverage breakdown. Here, you'll see Lucas Finner score his first career goal as a Bulldog. Probably going to be far from his last. He's a pretty slick player, and I think it was his 5th point on the season. And it was good to see him get back in the lineup. He was coming off an injury and had sidelined him for a little while.
That cut the score to 3-2. Michigan then with a big final stretch, last 7 or 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah, you can see now. Here we are. We're in that last bit where we had just given up the fourth goal, and then from here on, it was ugly. There's no other way to put it. As I said, very disappointed in our response, and I thought we could have been, a much more resilient team than we were.
Certainly here in the final stretches of this, as you get ready to turn your attention to Game 2, what was the focus going into that second game?
Well, I did have some concerns over the fact that, this is this trip of where we spent 11 of 16 days on the road, a little over 3,200 miles on the bus, a little over 52 hours on the bus over those 16 days. So we hadn't had a lot of practice time. We were road weary. There's no other way to say it. It helped that we were playing at Michigan, so we got a little shot of adrenaline that way. But the key going into this night was we had to be mentally stronger. And I pretty much told them I thought the two teams were pretty equal, that going into the third, I figured the game would be within a goal, and I expected a much better result in terms of our mental makeup. And as it turned out, somewhat prophetic in that it was 1-1 going into the third.
As we go to the highlights here of the second game on Friday night, Michigan gets off to a good start again as they get the early goal, but again, you'll have the equalizer coming up here shortly.
Yeah, I was concerned. I was very concerned at this point when they scored so quickly, but we answered pretty darn quick back, 1-1. And then, we traded punches, I guess, the rest of the way. They do take a 2-1 lead in the third period. And I really enjoyed our response to that we came back and tied it. It was a much different feeling than the night before when we had gone down 4-2 and buckled. Here we pushed right back and obviously come away with the win.
Justin Kapelmaster in that for you had a big night with 42 saves.
He played well. He played really well. He managed the puck. He controlled rebounds, which was really important. They crashed the net very hard, and so that was, probably one of his stronger performances. Reminded me a lot of him a year ago. Here you can see he gets run over a little bit. I think maybe as much as anything, he's trying to draw a penalty there. anyway, you're going to see now we're at the 13-minute mark of the third here. They score a power play goal. So now very similar to the night before, very similar time, and I really appreciated our pushback here. Mitch Maloney's going to get the equalizer, and really it handcuffs the goalie. He's very good release from there. Probably one their goalie would like to have back, but regardless, it was a good shot, good release.
He had a couple goals on the weekend for you, doing a nice job of providing some scoring.
Yeah, he did, and you know, what we're going to see here too, Rob, is going into overtime, and we'll get through this. I think this closing highlights of the third here, but you'll see in overtime that they score a goal. It's right here, and there's contact with our goalie prior to the shot. The goal was disallowed, which really it was textbook goaltender interference, and that kept us alive. So now we're still in overtime. We come back down the other end of the rink, work it side to side. And really a great finish by Riker here. He picks the short side upper corner, and nice win for us. A nice bounce back coming off the poor performance on Thursday.
What does it mean for your kids to be able to win that rivalry type game in overtime and pull out the victory on the road?
Well, as you say, it's a tough environment to play in, and their student section is, and purposely so, surrounds our bench. And you know, we took a lot of grief all weekend from them, and which is all part of it, and it makes it for a lot of fun. But I think it felt pretty good for us to get the win on Saturday and kind of quiet that group down.
6 straight games on the road now, finally back at home. 3 of your next 4 at home. Starting with Alaska this weekend, talk about the Nanooks and what you expect out of them as you start WCHA play again.
Yeah, sure. We're really glad to be back home. You know, and the one nice thing about playing Thursday, Friday last week is we did have Saturday, Sunday off. So the guys got a good blow today. We went light in practice, but now as we move forward into the week, we'll have a full week of practice, and that's something we've needed desperately. Nanooks will be, you know, I'm starting to believe that college hockey is as competitive and as tight as it's ever been. This is going to be a very tight series. We get to come back into conference play where, you know, right now we've stubbed our toe, but we've got plenty of season left, and we're looking forward to these games. But they're going to be a formidable foe. They're going to be good, and you know, I would expect the same type of hockey each and every night. It's going to be 1-goal games and overtime type games, and not only in this weekend, but in the foreseeable future.
Well, Coach, looking forward to what should be an exciting series Friday and Saturday against Alaska. Congratulations again on the win this past week.
Yeah, thank you, Rob.
We'll be back with more Ferris Sports Update right after this.